Hey there, I'm Lonnie Lopez, and we're currently on season 2 of One Time Out Left. And on today's episode, we have Coach Daniel Pardo, who coached for 31 years with coaching stops at St. Joseph Academy, Porter, Hanna, Pace High School. He is currently the head coach and athletic coordinator at Pace High School. Appreciate you, Coach Pardo, for taking time out
Oh, thank you
today.
for the invite.
Um, First of all, when I sent out the information sheet, you were born in Mexico.
Yes.
What you said some small community
It's
type.
a small community, and I won't be able to tell you what the name of it is, but they call it Hills over there.
Okay.
I was born in the Hills Sandoval, which is maybe about 35 miles outside of Matamoros. Um, but I grew up about 10 minutes before, a couple of miles before that. It's called Hill La Gloria. That's why I grew up.
Oh, okay. And with that, did you have any siblings
I
or
got three sisters and one brother.
one brother?
My
Are they
brother's younger.
the youngest one? Are you the oldest one
I'm
or
the oldest of the boys, the second
Yes,
youngest.
second
So
old?
but I'm the oldest male. Yes.
Oh, okay. So and with that, you said you moved over when you were 7 years old,
Yeah.
and where did you get? You went to an elementary and
I
stuff.
went to El Jardín Elementary.
Okay.
And I came in and no English, no anything. But I'm the only one that was born over there. All my sisters were born here, including my brother later on, because he's 11 years younger than I am. So because they had to pay over there to go because they were U.S. citizens, my parents decided, all my dads decided to move us here. So I came here, not knowing any English or anything. Well, none of us did, but I want to say I was supposed to be a third grader, but they moved it back to second grade or something like
Yeah.
that because of the language barrier.
Yes.
Which without knowing in the long run, kind of helped me because I graduated more mature athlete
No.
than most kids will.
Has any of your like what did your parents do when they got over here or over there?
My dad was a laborer. He always worked. Either construction or something. Like my mom was always a stay-at-home mom. She did everything. My dad said, "I'm gonna provide. You're gonna take care of the kids," and she did a great job with that.
One of the old school ways, right? Everybody
Yes,
was.
yes.
On and your siblings, what they do when
Uh, they all, again, my dad had an idea that in order for us to succeed, we had to do better than they did. My mama has maybe had a third, fourth grade education. He had a fifth, sixth grade education. So he knew the key was for us to go at least graduate. In his mind, all of you is going to graduate from high school. And we all did. Some of my sister went on to college, but they didn't finish. They all they married, had their own careers and everything. My youngest brother, or my only brother, has the same degree as I do, but he decided to go to the private sector and work as a rigger. So he makes a lot of money. So he went for the money. So, but he's got a bachelor's degree like I do, but he just chose not to use it.
Okay. On that, when you were growing up, did you guys play a lot of stuff at home, or you play sports somewhere else, or
I started elementary. Back in those days, I couldn't play football because I was a big kid, and back then there was weight limits.
no?
You weighed over so much you couldn't play. So I started basketball. Just didn't play much, but I wanted to be involved. Kept me outside of the house. I couldn't be inside the house. I was a kid that had to be running around, moving around. So they used to nickname me Daniel el Travieso, because I was mischievous. I was doing all kinds of things. So my mom said, "Get out of here, get outside." It's like I was in heaven. Bye, and I'll get out and just enjoy. They'll call me for dinner. Basically, that's what they did. So
And what area of the Brownsville did you grow
we
up
live
in?
by the airport, by Iowa. It's
Okay.
called Iowa, by the airport. We lived there.
Okay.
I grew up there. Then once I got to middle school, we moved to the southmost area, and then and we lived there by, I guess we were zoned to Porter in that area. And before I went to high school myself, we lived by Sam's Stadium now. My parents lived by Sam's, by Riverside. But my sisters were already in high school. So my dad had to go and petition for me. And back then, with Mr. Raul Besteiro was superintendent. He had to go all the way to him and ask, like, I want to keep my kids together. My girls already in at Porter High School. I want my kid to go there. Most of my friends were going there anyway, so I said fine. So we ended up going to Porter.
Okay. What? I mean, I know it wasn't probably that hard to move you, like in terms of that. Like you went to, they uh, they do the petition for him to
Yeah.
move you there. So when you got there, what middle school, and then you went to high school, middle
Well,
school.
middle school went to Oliveira Middle School.
Okay, and that's where you started. You were
That's
able to play football
that's
and
the
play.
first year that I actually played. Actually, didn't play as a seventh grader.
Oh,
My
okay.
dad was not. My dad's sport was baseball.
Ah, okay.
He never played it, but he loved baseball because in his siblings, his brothers, two of them played baseball. They were real good baseball players in Mexico. So he was just baseball. But I was afraid of the ball. I couldn't. I started too quick, and I go, man, and for years he used to mock me and says, man, he said, le tienes medio una pelotita de los pelotas. And I said, Dad, I can see those. I just can't see the ball. I had a hard time locating the ball, so I said, nah. And I tried it. There used to be a little, back when we were by the airport, there used to a little league there. Walking with my friends one time, some gentleman that was practicing a little team, they needed extra kids. I never joined. He said, come on, work out with us. I tried to feel a ground ball, bounce out, hits me in the face. I threw the glove, said, I'm out here.
I'm out. Yeah.
I'm out. And never tried it ever. And he used to try to bribe me. I'll buy you a bat, glove, bat, whatever you want. I'm like, so seventh grader, I never tried it.
No.
I get to middle school and I played basketball because that's the only thing I ever
Yeah.
played. So believe it or not, my seventh grade is Coach Delgado. He was there. And my eighth grade coach was Coach Montemayor.
Oh.
So that's where the connection with him started.
Yeah.
He was Oliveira. He was just an assistant coach. And I started playing basketball for him. And I mean, I was a short little fat kid. I got a growth spurt between the summer 8th and 9th grade.
Oh, okay.
That's when I stretched up. But I was a little chunky little kid. But I like it. I like playing. So he was my 8th grade. And my summer between 7th and 8th grade. One thing I'm terco. I'm stubborn, But I'm smart enough that I knew how my dad was. So I will ask my dad, hey, I want to play football. My dad was real reserved, short old man, stocky. If he didn't answer, that meant no. So I asked the question. If there was no response, it ended right there. You didn't ask until a week, 2 weeks later. So all summer I bugged them. Okay, and I bugged them. And I tell kids now that story, and they go like, really? Yeah. I bugged them until finally, school was about to start, and I said, look, I wanted to hear the no, because he never really answered. I said, look, I want to play. You let me play? And finally, I remember we were walking from the gate to the house, and I kept on bugging him. And he stops in the middle and just turns around and says, oh, shoot, he's going to smack me. My dad he was very few words. If he raised his voice, you were already in trouble.
Yeah.
So. And he says, you really want to play? I said, yes, sir, I really want to play. Okay. That means you guys stay after school, right? Yes. Okay. Well, he used to work in PUB at the time, which is right behind Oliveira. The plant was that he used to work. He said, well, in the morning, I leave at this time. You're on the truck, great. You get a ride to school. After school, when I drive through there, if you're standing there, I'll pick you up. If you're not, you're walking home. At that time, we lived by Sam Stadium or by Riverside.
Oh, that's across
So,
town. That's
across town.
Across the expressway.
Across the expressway, everything. So again, remember, I was a stubborn kid. Says, that's fine. I want to play. And he said, okay, you want to play? Fine. I walked after every practice home. Wow. And he says, my dad was not one of those that backed away from when he told you. Yeah. He told you. I had coaches. Montemayor gave me rides after basketball practice because sometimes we worked and it was late games. The one thing he did do for me was during late games or track meets. Back in the day, track meets were on Saturdays and it was all day long. He would go pick me up when he knew I was going to come real late at night. But if it was right after practice, we used to get out of school by 5:30, then walk. And I used to get there when it was getting dark, and I walked for all my eighth grade year. And,
Must have gotten you in shape.
well, yes, you get to appreciate the fact that you have to make it work, because
Yeah.
then he was going to try and tell you I knew it. So I was going to prove him that I wanted to play.
You were
know.
stubborn. The stubbornness.
Stubborn as it is. So he made me walk that time. He made me walk all my freshman year at Porter, football season. And basketball. By then, but you got friends that they're a little older. They have a car and they give you a ride here, whatever. And again, coaches during football season, Coach Mata used to be Valentin Mata used to be my coach. He will give me a ride, and I appreciate it. I tell him I had to work with him. I got to work with him at Pace too, and he had ended up being on my defensive staff as when I was a coordinator. To this day, he loves soccer, so every year I give him a district pass because he goes to every soccer play. Pace soccer. He goes, "Hey, go coach here." Oh, I appreciate it. No, thank you, because it's people like those, Montemayor, uh, Mata, and all those guys that kind of helped you along the way. So to give them a pass, I always tell them, as long as I'm at Pace, come on over, visit us. You're more than welcome. And they do. They come by there and they say hello and everything. So, but yeah, that's how I got started.
So when Oliveira you transferred, it goes to Porter. Who was the head when you started football? Who was the head coach?
When I was a freshman, it was Bud Mounts.
Okay.
Coach Bud Mounts was the freshman when I was a freshman. Then he was replaced by Robert Cortez.
Okay.
Coach Robert Cortez, which I tell you again, thinking about this interview and everything got me thinking about all those questions and everything. And I can tell you, if I had to say who I'm more like as far as a coach, it's probably him. I really enjoy playing for him. Real players coach, raise his voice now and then, but he knew what kind of kids he was coaching, and he treated us fairly. He was stern, but and I tell people, if you really want to know, I learn from a lot of people. But as far as if you say what style, it's more like him. I'm a little more vocal, more loud than he was. But as far as how you treat kids and all that, a lot has to do the way that I saw him treating people.
Mm.
You know, but he was there all my 3 years. I graduated, and then he moved on after that.
So and you graduated Porter. You play basketball and did you continue basketball and football and track and all that?
That was the three sports because again, when I started in middle school, that was the pattern: football, basketball, track. There was no other sports. That was just what it was. So, and it kept us in line as far as grades and everything else. You had something to do. Mm-hmm. So I just kind of followed it in high school.
So when did the Midwestern State, how did that come into about to play?
Okay, so I'm in high school, and right at high school, we went and visited Tolton State. Three of us, our backup quarterback / safety, myself, and then our nose guard. And we go out there, three kids, no clue what a visit is or anything. We just, let's go. We got to talk to one of the coaches. And I ended up being the only one going back. Here's someone that never traveled out of the valley, never anything. I mean, we never, my parents never had means to take us on vacations or anything like that. So I go, and that's the first time I encounter racism. And I'm there, and I go like, wow. 2 Hispanics only, myself and the kicker. And coaches were great. But I had some problems with some of the other players. So I couldn't handle it. In my head, I didn't understand what that was. I mean, the way we were brought up, you're no different than the other person. I'm walking in the store and somebody's walking behind you from the store, just walking behind you.
This was
That was
1990,
93,
93,
92, 93, somewhere there.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, and call home. And my dad, like I said, he says, look, if you don't want to be it, just come back. I came back and, I didn't want to go see coaches because I felt like, like, man, I kind of let them down. But in basketball at Port, I had a coach named by name Jim Griffin, long time basketball coach at Port. And I told him one time, says, Danny, you won't be the first nor the last. So don't worry about it. Go keep going to school, this and that. And that really helped me. I mean, those words from the gentleman really helped me understand, it's okay, we just keep going. Well, the gentleman that went with me, the other teammate of mine, they end up, the quarterback, he ends up going to Midwestern. And he says, dude, you can come over here and play. And at that time I said, well, I'm not going to play. I waited 2 years after that. He went and joined there, played. Come on over here. Now I don't want to go to tell my dad because he said, well, you already tried it, so, and knowing my dad. So I said, you know what? I got enough guts. And I said, look, Dad, this is, go try it. Go try it. Which I guess at that time, since I was a little older, he says, well, you need to go. When you were younger, he was more stricter than, then he used to talk to you more than anything else. So go try it. That way nobody's going to tell you whether you're able to not make it. There's no doubt. You go try it. I said, well, I went well, so let me go. So I go there in the spring. I want to say 93, something like that. I go over there. I go through their off season. And this is 2 years of not doing anything from the time I graduated. So I'm overweight and, and everything. I go there and I'm throwing up just about after every practice. We had practice 6 o'clock in the morning. I didn't know what cold was until I got over there. It's a different kind of cold, dry.
It's almost
cold,
by the panhandle, right?
Panhandle, so it was like, man. Well, I made it. Coach said, well, come on back. So I go back and play the next season. Again, I'm over or undersized for being a defensive tackle. I play defensive tackle the whole time. I'm giving up 60, 80 pounds to every offensive line. And after every game, my back would be sore and everything else. And I learned how to be quicker than everybody else because that's the only way. So I loved it when they were stunning because I didn't have to, manhandle somebody that was 80 pounds bigger than I was. So, and the coach that was there really realized, okay, I can use him for this. So, third downs and all that, I started getting a little more playing time. I wasn't getting in. As a matter of fact, the first game they didn't even take me to the game.
Oh.
But the head coach called me in the following and said, "Well, how come you went out on the bus?" Well, the coach Ball put the list, and I was in the list. Well, that's gonna change, and it did. From there on, I played the next 9 games. I tell the kids this story. When I got there, they used to rank everybody in the locker rooms. The lockers were in rows, and they were by position. All defensive linemen, all offensive linemen, and everything. In between the lockers, they put post, the depth charts. And when I got there, I was number 18 in the depth chart for defensive line. When I left, I was number 3. But I tell you what, those 2 guys that were in front of me, by far, better players than I was. By far. They were real good. But I got a lot of playing time, And it ended that year. I didn't go back. I only played that year. We had to tell Coach Jackson, he's the military old man, which is volunteers. You need to be an inside linebacker. So they try to move me inside back. I said, look, I don't have the time to learn this position. Most of these guys are this position. I've been playing since their 7th, 8th grade year. By the time I see things, it's too late. Offensive linemen are on me already. It's so hard. I'm barely. So they were adamant about making me an inside backer just because I was too small for a defensive lineman and I was a good size for an inside backer. So I said, in my back of my mind, I said, well, that itch about knowing if I could play at that level, kind of already, okay, I know I can play. So I decided to not go back. I got calls from the coaches. You know what? I guess it's not for me.
Mm.
And a lot of people said, "Oh, you miss it." I never did. And I tell people, I never did it come. Oh, I wish I could have. No, I think that part of my experience that just wanted to know that I could make it. It got settled, and I was okay with what I did. I never looked back to say, "What if this?" Never. I really enjoyed it. My years of playing up to that level, and it was could I play? Probably yes. I could have kept on playing, or move around like a lot of people did.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I was done with football, and I was okay with it, and that's how that ended.
yeah. Okay, so when that happened, you were playing and you thought, you know what, I want to. This is it's time for me to leave or check out or hang my
Yeah.
cleats. Was the coaching already in you, or you already thought, man, you know, I can make a maybe I want to coach this time or coach from now on?
The coaching part came in high school. I really wanted to coach. There was a coach by the name Tom Famonte. He was my JV coach. Um, and he was the first one that taught me the X's and O's. When I started in eighth grade, people would just tell me, see the guy in front of me? Push him back. See the ball? Go get the ball. I started getting into the football when I became a freshman. Coach Merano was my freshman coach.
Ah, okay.
Okay. And the way he is now is the way he was back then. And no, we're gonna do it this way, we're gonna do it that way. Really, he was the first one that showed me structure. And then Coach Bufamonte came in, showed me, okay, because I had a real hard time on traps. They used to trap me like nothing because I would get off and I wouldn't read, and I didn't know what to read for, when getting off the ball. So I said, no, you see this and here, and he's trying to explain that. So the X and O started clicking in my head, and that's when it started. I want to do this stuff, and I would look at it as like, okay, somebody's gonna pay me to do this. In my head at that time, I didn't know about, okay, you have to be a teacher too. I was just thinking just coaching.
Yeah.
Later on I figured out, oh, I gotta teach too. Okay, so, but that's where it started.
Um, so when you finished football, you came down and interviewed somewhere, or you came down and got hired somewhere, or
No, the way that started was I came down, I started going to school, and my senior year I made the All-Star basketball team, and the coaching it was a coach by the name Rene Cardenas. He's the owner of the Cardenas, or not the owner, but he's the Cardenas
yes,
Motors, okay, out of Harlingen. He was a St. Joe head basketball coach at the time. So they call me up, I go there, as an alternate. It ended up being, I played a lot, made the team and all that. Fast forward 2 years, he says, I need a coach. So I get there. I said, sure. I mean, while I'm going to school and get my feet wet, how things work. Um, I get there, and the head football coach at that time was Elvis Hernandez.
yes,
Elvis Hernandez. And he says, well, I can use you in football. And the assistant basketball coach was a guy by the name Mark White. He said, yeah, come on over. You'll be with me on defense. Great. So I did that 1 year, and then I didn't do football the following, and I did, I guess for 2-3 years I did basketball. While I was there, St. Joe's, most of those people were back then they were real connected, the coaches. They were all either ex-coaches of each other. They were ex-players from St. Joe. Rene Cardenas was a student there, coach. So I meet, I guess, in my opinion, one of the basic, not the best track coach ever, Meme Garza.
yeah, heard him.
Okay. I meet him, and I used to love working because I always ask myself the why things work a certain way. And he used to tell me, you know what, I like that. Why? And he used to, on days that were slow or come on in, watch film. Okay, why is this? Why? And we used to break down, the technique of shot and discus. That's what I did with him there. I'd started with middle school with Dr. Paul, no, Dr. Kevin, one of the brothers. He was the head middle school, and they focus. I learned there how they don't focus on, oh, did you win first? Like, no, they focus on improvement. So we used to track every kid. Every kid had to have a throw in every meet. If they threw 6 times, we had to have 6 distances. That's what I learned. I learned how to track people. Meme was real good. He said, okay, people might not know this, but you can actually track a thrower and see, based on your workout, how many weeks it takes for him to peak again. And they'll flat line and peak again. And you start tracking. So he used to do that with the runners. So he'll keep up with the district people. It's okay. And newspaper, back then newspaper.
Yeah.
Track meets from San Antonio, because they used to, San Antonio. Okay, this kid here, all right. Okay, he peaked right here, so he won't peak until, and he will be every week seeing what that kid will run, and then he will adjust his events, the players, the runners, what events they were, to get the better results. Because okay, this kid's supposed to peak around this time. Okay, then I need to get this one and put it over here because this guy's not gonna peak more than likely here. So I learned all that from him. Wow. So he says you need to know how many times they throw, and then what result are you getting week by week, and you're gonna see. So you're gonna see a peak, and then you're gonna see a flat line. Sometimes it'll drop a little, but it'll be a flat line, and then there'll be another peak, and you start gauging where they're at, and then you'll know how the workout is gonna be set up to get the best result for the kid. So all that I'm learning. I don't have a degree yet, but I'm learning all this. Rene Gardens in basketball, motion offense. And we're at Porter Plain, our defense turned into our offense. We're running and gunning. With him, it was like screen here, back to the second guy, this option one, this option two. All these people are intellectually, they see the game a little different.
Yeah, yeah.
So I got all this knowledge from there. That was my start. And that's how I got into St. Joe. That was my first stop.
That's phenomenal, because you got some great coaches that you learned from. I mean,
on that, when I got your call and you gave me those questions about,
yeah,
who, actually, I sat down one day and just said, let me think. And I go like, and my defense going to play for me at Pace, and now he coached for me. Now he's my defense coordinator. Oh, okay. I said, Robert, all these days I've been thinking about this interview coming. I've been thinking about players. I've been blessed. I had so many great players that, you know what? Maybe it wasn't just me. Maybe it was just the fact that I had really good players that I had success.
So, wow, that have you heard anybody else do that? I don't just
I do it. I tell, like right now I don't coach track. I really don't coach anything else. But every now and then I go out there with the throwers, and my defense coach is a throwing coach, and he threw for me. I go, Robert, where's he at? When was the last time he peaked? Okay, when was the last before that? Or around this time. Okay, then if you keep your workout consistent, you know more or less when is the next one. It's just, and so he's learned that from me. Back when I used to have a girl by Stephanie Perez, and she went to state. I took her to state. Or she took me to state. And I knew she could get out of the district, but I needed her to peak in regionals. So we go as a number 2. A girl from Harlingen beats us in regionals, in district. And they go, that's okay. Because her practice were altered to try to peak her at the region. And it worked out. She picks a regionals, we make it to state. She wins the region. Wow. And we go to state. Have I not learned those things? We probably have never gotten it. Right. But that's something that I learned with Coach Garza, and I have tremendous respect for the gentleman. Class act. I mean, I'm knowledgeable. Wow. I mean, I've sent kids of mine from Pace, and I said, look, this kid can really have help with a talk from you. Can you you know, and he'll say, I'm doing it just because it's you. I won't do it otherwise. And I appreciate that. I tell him thank you very much. And he'll keep up with me and say, hey, coach, how you doing? You know, this and that. I haven't talked to him in a while, but, you know, at least 2 years. But every now and then he'll come up and call me and say, how you doing?
So when St. Joe, you ended your tenure there, you went to Porter
No, I started, Coach Merano hired me
at
at Pace.
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 Oh,
In
okay.
1999 was the first year he hired me there. And again, he's great in stories, and I learned from him. And story, I went to the first summer session, and I think I needed a C in a class. He happened to know the professor. He says, I need you here. I said, well, I need to finish this class. He says, I'll talk to him. So I went, and he says, oh, you need a C? I don't need a C. Literature, Spanish American literature, something like that. I don't like reading. And I have a minor in English. Imagine
Oh, wow.
that. But I took it because it was the easiest way to get out of it.
I know what you mean because I have the minor in that too. You took 6 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
And
understand.
get out of there quickly.
Yes.
That's
yes,
why I took it.
Yes, yeah, I know what you
Well, I had a D. And he says, well, turn in this paper again. Because I don't have it. I go, I did turn it in. But I can read between the lines.
mean. Yeah.
Oh, yes, sir. You have it tomorrow morning. I went and printed it out again, turn it in. I got a C. Graduated in the first session. That August, I got a job.
You're ready to go.
Ready to go. So I started as a freshman coach that year. I don't know if I ever had a true interview until I became a head coach. But for positions, they were like, you ready to work? Yes, okay. You know, so he said, you're a freshman coach. This is all I want you to do. I want you to coach them the way you play. And that's it. Good, I can do that. So I did that, and then I coached basketball with girls. I started with girls, assistant basketball, and then I went to track. And same kick the same. That's all I coached really. I never coached any other sport.
Let me backtrack real quick on in terms of the degree. What were you teaching at that time? What did you teach when you went to
Pace? I was a PE teacher.
Oh,
I have
really?
a PE degree, elementary to high school. Okay. Later, I went back and I challenged the health one, and I have that. And out of whatever, this is my 26th year. I was in the classroom 2 years only. The rest of the time, because you're a coach and you're a big guy, back then I was a lot bigger, ISS. So normally your football coaches are going to be in ISS, and they're the ones that discipline and all that. So I did the first year there PE. The next year said, you're going to go to ISS. And from there, that's all I did for years until when I moved to Porter, I did 1 year PE. Then I went back to ISS. So that's really what I've taught. But I have a degree in physical education and health, and a minor in English.
Yeah. Well, I know how you did the English because I did it too. You need 4 hours for your bachelor. You need four credits for your bachelor's, and you get 2 more
upper level.
And in upper level, and you get the minor. And I'm like, well,
because you're all level.
Yes.
If you would have been secondary, then you'd need more.
Yes.
But I was just all level. That's how I got it.
That's what I got that one too.
Yeah.
But they did away with it like a couple years after. I was like, what? Okay.
Well, I haven't gone back to school, so and I don't plan on going back to school.
In terms of coaching, when you coach, what game comes to mind? What game comes to mind, like for you, like, man, I remember this game exactly.
I have 2.
Okay.
One as a coach. We're playing Mac High at Sanson 2000 football season 2000. We had a group of kids there. It's probably the best group we ever coached there. They used to call themselves the Shockers. Robert Cadena was part of it. We're playing there. We're playing a quarterback by the name of Sky Cook out of McAllen. Run the midline option kind of look. and they're running the ball on everybody and everything. So, and we knew we had our hands full, but we knew that if we could get past them, we could go three down, 3 rounds deep easy. You know, it came down to the last play. They beat us. It was raining. I remember it was raining. My job was, and I was all jacked up about it. My job was to find a way to protect our middle linebacker because they read that the fullback, and they saw you come down. The guard was going to let you alone, go pick up the middle linebacker, and now he gets an option to keep it if the linebacker get blocked, or he's going to pitch it out. So my job was to make sure that guard did not get on my linebacker. You know, our coordinator says, your job is to make sure that your guy does not let that guard get on that. So we drill all week because you're going to zone. If he's inside, you're going to zone and keep him on the line. He said, you got a split second. That linebacker better move out of the way. And then you're going to take on the fullback. So the middle linebacker can get in the quarterback. If we're going to make him pitch, we got an outside backer on him. And that's the way. We played it to perfection. We were on it. We're ahead with seconds left. And they throw a long ball. And you're talking about a team that threw maybe 4 or 5 times a game. Raining.
And they threw it.
And they threw it. Guy catches it. You see their hands like this, and our defense, our safety, I think it was. His hands are right underneath it. Just missed it. And they win with that play. They scored touchdown, and they win with that one. We had already scouted. I think it was Corpus Christi Ray and one Laredo school. And I go, we're gonna. This is 3 rounds deep. We were that good that year. The talent we had that year was ridiculous. My defensive line, I was coaching like this, looking up. Good defensive line, and I only coached at that time. I coached in the interior only. The defensive end, we had another coach that coached those. But again, and that's the one. The next one was my first year that I became a head coach. You know, so actually 2. One as a head coach, we playing Southwest, and first year coach. It's like shoot, Southwest had beat us the year before, and I was an assistant by 30 or something. And here you go, first year head coach. We're gonna play them. You end up winning 28-0. The coaching staff gave me the football sign, everything, the case. I have it in my office. You know, that was my first win ever. So it's like, man, that's a game that, man. And then the other one was the first game that I played against. I want to say it was Economides as a defense coordinator. And then all the coach was like, you know, oh, they pop your cherry and this and that. You know how coaches are. You know, and they had a real good tight end. You know, and here it is, the first year of me coming out with a plan, how to control the tight end and this and that. You know, so we ended up winning the game. As you know, so those are the 3 games that in different phases of my career that really stand out. you know. So I mean, we had some big games, but in my opinion, those are the ones that stand out for me.
On that one, you what would your players say that you would say a lot during practice?
Man, I say so much stuff. Sometimes I just say things just to say things. And believe it or not, I ask my kids that, you know, during this time again, I'm trying to get ready for, you know, because I like to prepare.
Yes.
A little bit from that I learned from it. I know you prepare for things. So I walk into the locker room one time. Hey, if you have to say what I say all the time, and it's like 4 of them just says, giddy up. Because I walk in there, I'm the one that pushes them out. Come on, let's go, giddy up. We gotta go, giddy up. And they all start laughing and say, oh, giddy up, giddy up. You know, so then I ask other people, they said, well, depend what group of kids you ask. This guy will say giddy up. He said, but when you were a coordinator, you were a lot different because you weren't in charge of getting out. You said other things. In other words, and they go, well, yeah, it depends who you ask, I guess. Yeah. But, you know, to tell you I have one word that I say all the time, it's hard to say. But
well, one thing that I saw somewhere where you have the saying, great teams don't get don't get tired.
I got that, and this is a couple of years back. You know, or actually a year or 2 back. The head basketball coach from the women's Huskies, Rama, how can his name? I can do, anyway, college guy. I saw his quote, and he said that this is the difference between a good team and a great team. Is the good team or the great team, the players don't get tired. That's when you separate the good team from a great team. The good players don't get tired. So every year you come out with something, a say or something to get them going. So that year we had gone 3 years, 2 or 3 years during COVID. After COVID, that it hit us and we had not made the playoffs. I get the pace, I make the playoffs 4 years in a row, and then COVID hits us, and our numbers really
Yeah.
dropped, and we don't make it. I want to say 21, 22, and 23. So I saw that, I go like, that's this time to we need to get back in, and I don't know if Coach Merano talked about this, but he used to say it. He used to live by it because he used to tell us, and I'm one of those that would things catch my ear and they stick with me. He would always say, in 4 years, if we don't make it, I'll walk away from it, and let somebody else take over and see if they can move it. So we make it 4 years in a row. Then we miss the first year, the next year, then the next year, and the third year. Now, Rodney I've been with him, we've been together for like out of the 20 some years, 23 out of 26 years, or something like that. We go back and we think a lot the same since we've been together. When I got that job and I got him and I got Robert and I got him in my office, I said, look, with every position, when you get this kind of position, there's people that might not believe in what you do, how you do things, everything. So we need to make it. We need to make the playoffs to get people off our backs. You know, that was the first year that I got the job. When we got to year three, after year three, we're about to start year four. We're in that, around this time. I would bring them back into my office and I said, look, this is year four coming. If we don't make it, I'm gonna move on. Just so you know, I really, when Merano used to say it, I really believed in that. That you have 4 years to, because it's like you get a freshman class and you're building them. So in 4 years, you should be able to develop those kids to make it into the playoffs. And so it might not be not necessarily a rule, but something that could possibly happen. But in my world and in his world, we always believe that.
Yeah.
So I go in, I call in my office, I close the door, and they know, everybody there knows. If you, in my office, you get invited. If you get called in, usually it's not good. Kids and coaches know that. He said, you don't want to get called to that office, And I don't spend a lot of time. I usually go spend in the coach's office, the assistants. So they said, oh shit. I got called to Merano's office twice. Both times when he was going to say, I'm out of here. So I said, look, come here. I said, we talked about last time. I said, bottom line is, if we don't make it this year, then I think it's time for us to move on. Unless something drastic happens and, for whatever reason. So, Rodney knowing how we are, Rodney being with Merano more years than I have, Robert being more new to me. But Robert always is like me. He looked, okay, I'm with you, coach, no matter what. Whatever it is. If we got to walk, we walk away. It's okay. The pressure was never on the other coaches. The pressure was always on us three. There's a fourth coach, which is a retired coach, Coach Villarreal. He does my special teams. But he's not there full time. So, but these two gentlemen are. So that talk had to happen. We had it, and we were all in the same boat with the same idea. He said, we have to make it. So fortunately, we made it, and then we made it last year, and we made it this year. So we kind of back on track, and prior to COVID, man, the system was running. I mean, the program was running full throttle. We had numbers, we had everything. People, oh man, Paige's gonna have a great year. and we were supposed to because we had a group of seniors to be that we should have been real good, but COVID. In football, it's about numbers. Yeah, you got your stars and all, but an injury here and there. If you don't develop the other ones,
Yeah.
then it hurts you. Well, that group had everything, but we lost not the starters, but we lost the backup kids, and they were there. They went a year in
Computers and yeah, I remember
and they
that.
kind of liked that more than anything else, and they lost the one to be out there running and all this. But that's how we had that talk, and that's really how we got back into it.
Well, that's a good point that you bring up. I want to talk a little bit about the realignment.
Okay.
The realignment, because that just happened yesterday and stuff. So you take out, I think it's what PSJ Southwest is out, Ed Calcelsa's out, and Mission Veterans. Mission Veterans was the one who won district last year, I think.
Vision Veterans won out. They were in the upper district.
Oh, they're in the upper. Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So from us, it was just
Southwest and Ed
Calcelsa.
Calcelsa. Now you're gonna get Corpus Christi Ray, Donna, Gurley Portland, and then Porter and Mercedes. I mean, all those are all.
They all been with us. Before.
They're all to me. All those are that's going to be the gauntlet, right?
Yes.
So, how did you? Do you kind of know what you're gonna get? Like even before the realignment for that day, you're like, well, I think we're gonna go here. I think we're gonna go there. Did you? How many scenarios did you put out there, or have you written down?
We had two scenarios.
Okay.
The first scenario early on was one district from Roma all the way down.
Oh, yes, when you had like 10 teams.
The 9
yes.
teams.
9, okay.
But then, which normally does, UIO redoes the numbers. They do it early on,
Yeah.
and we knew, okay, so now we're 19th, looks like we got 19th.
Yeah.
But then they went back in about, I want to say 2-3 weeks ago, they readjusted the numbers. That bumped Lincoln Juarez, La Jolla Lincoln Juarez, and Donna into the 5A Division 2.
Oh,
So that turns to 11. So now the 19 scenario out the window. The next scenario now was the Corpus schools. So I go like, we'll be okay if that's a scenario. What would be better if somehow they bump those two Corpus up somewhere and they leave us down here. We're still in 2 districts, but like 5 and 6, And at one time, I think, Leora Figueroa came down to the other district, So I go, we can go 6 and 6, we can go 6 and 5, depends where they move. And that would be ideal for us. That would be the best case scenario for us. But everybody else that gets all into it had us in the district that we are right now, the way it's set up now. Obviously, we start talking, okay, did we get this kind of thing? We talk about, okay, what are the must-have games? What are the games that we need to really, see how we do? So it just turns out that we're going to go, the last 3 games are our gauntlets. We got GP at the end. We got open week last week. So, either we finish early or we're going to have a rest day week before we playoffs. We got Mercedes in there, and I want to say we got, I can't remember who the other one is.
You got Corpus Christi Ray and Donna.
Donna, GP, and Mercedes are the last 3, I think. Ray will be the district opener. We'll be at Sam Stadium with a district opener there.
So that's this year. 1 year you play that here, and then 1 year you're gonna go over there.
So we'll go to GP, but
okay.
Ray comes in. So they pick numbers to make sure that we're not traveling 2 times out there. So
okay.
One is here, one is there, for all the high schools. So it's just whoever the math people are. I will never be able to come out with it, but the math people do it where, okay, if you want to keep them separate like that, you got to pick, this school's got to pick this number, that number.
Okay.
And they figure it out. Somebody did. So we ended up where every school is going to be one out of town on Corpus and the other one will come in. So it turns out okay.
So that puts 5
games, 6 teams. 5 games. No, 7 teams, 6 games.
6 games. But then how many non-district?
4.
4. And then that's where you start
Those
Hey,
are the
this one,
one.
what do you want to play, and this and that.
Well, if if you jump on it early on and you start talking people before, which I did, we played Hidalgo for the last 2 weeks, last 2 years in week one. So at that time it was Wheeler, Coach Wheeler.
Yeah.
So we played them this year, and I said, "Hey man, do you want to play next year too? Do you want to keep this game?" Yeah, let's keep it. Great. That's week one. Week two, I didn't have anybody, you know. So through one of my assistant coaches, PJ Memo reached out. Hey, you guys want to hook up for week two? He goes, hey coach, they're asking. Yeah, that's fine. That's about our size of school, a little bigger, but that will give us some competition and get us ready, for district play. So we hooked up with them week two. Week three, I get along with a La Jolla coach, and I like what they do. They give us, what we want to see. They really make us work. So, again, Ruben, you want to
Ruben Farias.
Farias.
Yes. Yeah.
I go Ruben Farias. You want to? Yeah, coach, está bueno now. He's a real down to earth guy. He said, yeah, let's do it. Okay, so week three. Week four, I have nobody. And then Valerie reaches out to me, Coach. I know we don't have a coach, but I'm looking for games and this and that. He fine, I only got week four. He said, well, I'm looking for week three. I already am. Well, hold on, coach. Let me see if I can move something around. Well, sure enough, he moved his schedule around to get somebody else in week three so we can hook up in week four. So those are my non-district games. So that's
So that I think that's probably one of the, like at 9:05 we want to find out where
Yeah.
everybody's going and stuff like that, and the district, the non-district teams. I remember that one year. What was it? No, like Harlingen needed somebody, and they put it on the board.
on the
and
board, yeah.
and they
Well,
put
they do it like yesterday. Some schools that didn't have either scrimmages or games, and they're in the PA. Harlingen High looking for week one. Mercedes looking for week this, or the ones that didn't get it done. Um, and then Wheeler decides that he's stepping down. So now I get a call from Hidalgo, like a month ago, Coach. I'm sorry, I'm the bad guy that has to come and call you that. Well, my administration wants to diversify because they already had Lopez and somebody else. They want to change it up. This, coach, I understood. I kind of saw it coming because when you have a change of coaching,
Yes, when
it depends who comes in, and that's fine. I'm walking into the district realignment with no week one. So I go talk to Gilbert Leal, our AD, about something else. And Rocky James is right next to him. And I guess he's asking him about week one. And he says, hey, aren't you? I'm looking for you one. So am I. Let's go. Well, right there and then, like that.
no, so hey,
It just so happened that we ended up being with the same person right there and then.
Yeah.
And that's going to be, instead of Hidalgo, now we got, Rio Hondo.
And now I was wondering about that when a new change in the coaching.
I know they interviewed me, Real Sports or one of those, Touchdown Day. He asked about that. They go, look, normally we get an idea what's going to happen. Every now and then you will throw a curve at us.
Yeah.
The last one was when they sent the 6As all the way to Region 1 to go play somebody, the Hannahs of the world, and they had to go play because they ended up with like a 14 district or something. Yeah. And they had to look for week 5, 6, and 7. And by then, everybody's already in district play. Yeah. That's one of the few, if not the only time that really they threw a curve at us. So I didn't expect the curve this time around. I think it was pretty much set. It was just a matter of who ended up in your group.
That's one of the things I always want to talk to is about the realignment, because it's for us it's like for all the fans and stuff, they want to know, okay, who they got, all right, with this and that. That's a great thing. Now I want to talk a little bit about that you're a defensive guy, like that we call it defense. So what defense do you usually run?
Okay, when I started? So I was a pace for a while. Then Jim Helms comes into Porter. At that time, Coach Mena changed his defensive corners, and he's bringing in somebody from the outside that we know. He was in our staff, but he went to San Antonio, Patinsky. So he kind of just sent what he wanted done, And I kind of just, okay, I'll teach it the way. Just tell me how you want. I'll teach it. I was not going to be a defensive coordinator. So we go that year, and he will make a call, he'll make something, and the kid will turn on me because I did all the off season. He came in the fall, so he's trying to run it with no experience with the kids, and all these kids have been listening to me from November all the way to, May. So I caught them several times. Some of the key players kind of looking at me like, okay, we're gonna listen to this guy, and I thought it was bad, So I said, you know what, I need to move, so this gentleman can have a full,
Yeah.
gear of the whole command of the team, and I wanted to learn the administrative part of coaching, the ordering, the money wise, budgets and all this. Well, there was an opening at Porter for girls basketball, head girls basketball. Of course, you get named by Jim Helms coming in, winning national champions of assistant coaches, assistant coach, and this and that. It's in my head. I'm thinking, what can I learn from this gentleman? So I make the jump. As much as I love Medrano, he does a great job what he does. A lot of what I do is based. The program itself comes from him. I learned it from him. I probably learned it from somewhere else, but I learned it from him. I make the change, and I go to Porter. My interview for Porter with Coach Helms was in a restaurant right there on Security Drive, right by Porter. And he says, which is the only one they asked me about X and O's. He wanted to know, okay, how are you going to run it? And I showed him and everything, this, and this, and this, and this. Great. But he has somebody in mind. He says, but I want to keep you on staff. So I'll give you the girls' basketball job and be the defensive line coach. That's what I was known for, defensive line. So that's how I ended up being there. And then to be a coordinator, 2 years, a year after that, 2 years after that, Coach Helms leaves after 1 year. I stay 1 more year at Porter. But at the end of that year, Coach Insky decides to go back to San Antonio because his family's from up there, and I think he has something, I don't know, he knows going. Medrano's a morning guy. So I'm at my house getting ready to go to work, and 6 o'clock in the morning, my phone rings, and I see Coach Medrano. Wow, what is this guy wanted this time? Hey, you need to be my defense coordinator. Okay. And they had just offered me the defense coordinator job at Porter, and I turned it down. I said, no, it's not. I just didn't think it was the time. But then Medrano calls me, and my wife is there. We're both getting ready to go to work, and I tell her, I said, what do you think? He said, that's what you want to do? You always wanted to be the guy calling it, so why not? You already know the system. You already know how he is. You're not going to come in to know how the head coach is. You already know how it is. So
what his expectations are.
Expectations are and everything. So I said, fine. I'll let you know. I'll call you right back. Okay. So the principal at that time is Jill Williams, and I remember I went to the doctor for something. I'm driving back to Porter, and he calls me again. Hey, what are you doing? As a matter of fact, I just got a doctor's appointment. I'm going back to Porter. No, you're not going. Just come by Porter. Come here by Pace. For what? Ms. Williams wants to talk to you. Okay. So I go by there. Stop by the office. He's already waiting for me there with the principal. I walk into the office. Hi, Coach Pardo. How you doing? Good. So you ready to come back to Pace? I go, yes. Okay, you're hired. That was my interview. That's it. Most of my interviews were like that. That's one thing. I never really had an interview until I actually applied for head coaching jobs. So that's how I ended up going. I went back to Porter, and I told the coach, coach, they offered me. I offer that. Yeah, but I've been around with Coach Medrano. I like to go back and go there. So that's how I went back to Pace as a defense coach. That's where it started.
With that, we're gonna call this. We're gonna switch gears now. Now we're gonna call this lasting impact. This is where I I reached out to coaches and players, and they gave me some words about you, and I wanted them to describe you in one word and elaborate on it. Okay, so here we go. It says, if I had to give one word that represents Coach Pardo, I would say Coach Pardo is empowering. He is the epitome of a true leader. I can speak for all of his former athletes when I say he always managed to find a way to get the very best out of us both and on and off the field. His teachings go far beyond X's and O's. I know many of us would not be where we are today without a great role model and a great mentor like Coach Pardo. Many of our 2011 Pace Viking team always remember the drive, the persistence, and the grit that Pardo ignited us in us and are better men because of that. That's from Dustin Hernandez.
He's my quarterback coach now.
Oh, is he?
He's on my staff.
Okay. Um, the next one. Lots of words come to mind, but one that sticks out is exacting. Is stick out is exacting. He always precise and held high standard for his players. Praise him for was rare, but when you got a good job from him, you knew it meant something more than it was an accomplishment for me. Because although it was hard, I wouldn't have wanted to play for any other coach but him. That's from Hector Salazar.
So
Right. So the next one, it goes demanding. For me, Coach Pardo was a coach who demanded 100% percent of you in everything, and you did at Pace High School. It didn't have to be football related for him to push you to be better every single day. From being on time to every class to being on time on the field or for practice, he set high expectations and expected you to do things the right way. Personally, I became the man I am today because the way he demanded more time for me when I needed it the most. Even today, 17 years after graduating with the class of 2009, his demanding style of coaching prepared me to be a better person and a leader in life. That's from Rene Sosa.
he's the one that told me, and I'll share that from him. And I never really it kind of hit home because in my younger years, even now, I will not remember a lot of good plays, but I remember the bad ones. So I was one of those person that was always looking, where did we go wrong to improve it. I never dwell on the good stuff. So he used to told me one time. Now that he's grown, he said, you know what? And he was telling other kids. He says, we used to work so hard for him, just so we can hear him say, "You did a good job, great job, guys." Those words meant everything to us, and nobody had ever said that to me. So coming from him, it was like, wow.
Wow. Um, okay, the next one says demanding. He not only has very high standards for kids in the program, but for us coaches as well. He, along with the coaches, held the kids accountable and get the most out of the kids in the program. That's from Ronnie Morales. And one of the last ones I have here is words cannot fully express how much Coach Danny Pardo has meant and continues to mean to me, not only professionally, but personally as well. Over the years, he has become a close friend. I am truly grateful for that. Danny was a major reason for our success at Pace High School during 15 years I coached there. Whenever I entrusted him with a position or responsibility within our program, I knew wholeheartedly that he would take it to heart, do an outstanding job. When I assigned Danny to become the Vikings defensive coordinator at Pace, I had no doubt that the program was in great hands. I had already been seen his work ethic and dedication firsthand when I coached him as at a player at Porter High School. Because of that, when I became a head football coach, he was the first person asked to join my staff. I knew then, as I do now, that it was the right decision. Now, as a head coach at Pace, Danny's record speaks for itself. Along with his staff, he has done an exceptional job coaching and continuing the tradition of consistently qualifying for the state football playoffs. That level of sustained success says everything about his leadership. Words alone cannot express how proud I am of Coach Pardo, but even more so, how proud all the Vikings and the entire Pace community should be to have him leading their program with integrity, passion, passion and excellence. It's from Coach Medrano.
Man, when you hear the words from some of those guys, it's like, I guess you, when you hold people accountable to a certain level, you hold yourself at the same level. I mean, and that's something we learned from Coach Milano. Um, he expected certain things done a certain way, and there was no what about it? Like, no, it was gonna be done to the highest level you can possibly do it. If it meant you spend extra time to make sure it got done the right way, he's got some more says do it right. You know, there's nothing wrong with doing the right thing from the get go. And like I said, this program, uh, as far as how it gets run, I learned it from him. Very detailed guy. Uh, there's very few stones that you turn to make sure everything's done right, and preparedness as far as being prepared for games, how you prepare for games. I learned that from him. I learned a lot of things from multiple coaches, but you're not gonna find somebody as organized as he is. At least I have not worked with somebody as organized as he is. He's gonna think just about everything you can possibly think of, you know. And what they say about me, those kids, they can probably turn and say the same thing about him. And the same thing when it came to coaches. He held us accountable uh, from morning meetings to late nights. It's, hey, do your job.
Your job.
You know, do your job. If you ask me what he used to tell us, do your job. Let's go. Do your job. Let's go. You know, uh, he did not ask you to do something that he didn't do. I mean, I, I I'm not 100% like he. There's some things that I don't do the way he did, obviously, but I we had this conversation, me and him, so many times. The backbone of what we do is still the same one. Uh, we talk when we talk business as far as with him or with my staff. We pride ourselves in getting the most out of kids. I got a plaque outside my door that I hung up. It's uh, Lombardi, Vince Lombardi. He said, "You get judged based on what you do with what you have." You know, we don't get the most talented kids, but we're gonna work you, and we're not gonna get outworked. That's another saying that's in our place. There it says, "Don't get outworked," and the kids know it. They believe in it. We work on it. I mean, um, some of these kids, we put them sometimes, for lack of words, through hell, but they appreciate that nothing's gonna be given to them. They gotta earn it, and when they really go out in life, they know that they can step into anything.
Yeah.
And not be afraid of getting their hand dirty and doing what you need to do, you know, and accomplishing what you want to. There's the only person that can stop you is yourself, because you're gonna learn how to work for what you want at Pace High School, awesome. And that comes from coaches that are there. That comes from coaches that we work for, and you know, Coach Milano is one of those guys that I'm telling you. And like I said, it's not everything is exciting like his program, but the majority is.
On that note, we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll get back to that right. Before we continue the podcast, we're moving into the 2 minute offense, where we ask the coach this or that questions. This segment is proudly brought to you by Game One. When it comes to the best in the business, Game One is the gold standard for outfitting the athletes who give it their all. Whether you're looking for custom U team uniforms, high performance training apparel, or the latest equipment to give your program the edge, there's only one person you need to call. Get in touch with Leo Zamaripa today. Leo and the team at Game One have everything you need to look like a pro and play like a champion. Contact Leo directly at 956 561 5002. That's 956 561 5002. Gear up with Game One, and let's get back to the One Time Out Left podcast.
I'll be honest with you. I've been very blessed when it comes to defensive line. I've coached some good ones. At Porter, I had a guy by Villarreal, uh, defensive end, great defensive end. You know, had another one at Hannah. Used to call him Little Train Choo Choo. He's a short guy, but he tremendous worker. Uh, at Pace, I had a lot of them. You know, I had John Harris, which graduated with Hector and those guys.
Oh,
You
okay.
know, Robert Cadena, that same group. Joseph Senior, another one. You know, Baldo Insignia. You know, I've been very blessed to be honest with you. You know, and all this never came out to my head. I don't until your call, and I started looking at all those notes, and I go like, wow. You sit down and reflect on that. My head is always thinking what I need to do to get for next year, and my head is again when we sit down and talk shop with Merano, he's always asking. He goes, okay, what we got here? Who's coming back? Who's not coming back? Who's coming here? Who's going to replace this? It's all business when you
Yeah.
talk to him. Even now that he's not even coaching, just last Wednesday, we got together in South Winds. We call it a pizza night. And we go, I don't drink, so we go eat pizza and the old staff. Some of my new staff got to know him. And we get together and he's all into it. He can come back to coaching and be right on the same spot
Yeah.
because he keeps up with the alignment. He keeps up with who's playing how, who's this, and all that. He keeps up with all that stuff.
This is called a 2-minute offense. This is something nothing to do with football. It's just something. It's just this or that. Like which would you like the most?
Okay.
Which or not? Here we go. Beach day or camping?
Beach day,
Dogs or cats?
dogs.
Barbecue or tacos?
Oh man, I go tacos,
Tacos. Queso or guacamole?
guacamole,
Sunrise or sunset?
sunset,
Fishing or golf?
fishing,
Popcorn or peanuts?
popcorn,
Ford or Chevy?
Ford,
Texas summer or Texas winter?
Texas summer, 100%.
Texas summer, really?
I-
Everybody says Texas winter.
Winter.
Well, they say the same thing. They say the
I
same.
don't like the cold. That's why.
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not. I hate the cold. I can. These few days they've been cold.
Yeah.
No, I'll take the heat any day.
Wow. Coffee or tea?
Coffee,
Text or call?
call,
Chess or checkers?
checkers. I'm not very good when it comes. I gotta think too much.
Early bird or night owl?
I'm a night owl.
Onion rings or French fries?
French fries.
Live to work or work to live?
I work to live.
Okay. Rock or country?
Country.
Tattoos or piercings?
None.
No, I mean, which do you like? But about those, I know people. I was thinking, what? And I go, which would you like? Which would you? Which do you like? Man,
Tattoo, I guess.
tattoos. Okay, Nike or Adidas?
Nike.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
Thanksgiving or Christmas?
Christmas.
Christmas. Batman or Superman?
Superman.
And the last play of 2-minute offense is: do you believe in ghosts?
Yes, but I never have an encounter.
Okay, yeah, that's what a lot of people say. Let me ask. I'm gonna ask one more of the last. I asked the last play a minute. Does ketchup go on tamales?
No.
No. All right. um, now we're gonna go into a little bit of into the coordinating stuff because I know you're a head football coach athletic coordinator and a head football coach. I know you're dealing with a lot of coaches and a lot of parents and all that stuff. What do you look for in an assistant football coach? What do you look for in an assistant?
When I interview or find coaches, I want people that can communicate and they can treat kids right, and hardworking. As far as the skill, if you're gonna apply for a head coaching, but they already come with the skill. You know, if you're gonna be an assistant, you can always learn it. You know, I've gotten coaches that have never coached and come out of there knowing what they're doing just because they listen. You can study it, you can show it, we can show it to you, and all that. But how to talk to kids and how to get to kids is probably the main thing I'm looking for. Can you get what you want out of that kid? If you can do that, you're gonna have a job with me.
Um, what's a common myth in coaching?
I think people think that it's an easy job, and I don't think so. I think it's one of the hardest jobs because you got to be able to make 14, 15, 16-year-old kids understand what you want and get them to do what you want the way you want it. That's the hardest part. And then, of course, you always have the people think that we just get paid to sit around,
Yeah.
which is no. I had conversations with some of our teachers. Oh, you just coaches. I go, come in, come and do a week with us. Usually, ladies, I just say that and I walk away. When it's a gentleman, I said, come and work. Come here. You want to do during football season? Come here at 7 o'clock in the morning, and don't leave about 7 o'clock, 8, 9 o'clock at night. And you do that for 13, 14 weeks. And you work 6 days out of the week. And then tell me if it's worth the money that you get paid for it. And they're probably going to figure out that it's not.
Um, let's go back to when you were. What's one piece of advice you give out to your young coach, like that just starting out today? What would you give? Go back to your first year. What would you tell yourself?
Usually, I said, look, learn how to do things right. Don't look for the shortcut. There is no shortcuts. Uh, Coach Mano used to use a saying that says, "Don't take the elevator, take the stairs," because you learn how to do things the right way. Then I got people, oh man, that principal is so mean and this. If you learn how to do things the right way, and you understand your position, and you understand that person's position, you'll never have an issue, ever. I've had people that work for principals that, as a head coach, oh, you can't work with this guy, you can't work with that person, and I never had that issue. You know, uh, I tell my principals, by the time I come to you, I tried everything in my power to get it without bothering you. By the time I come to you, it's because I really need. I'm a big sayer when it comes to my other coaches and other head coaches. There's wants and needs. The needs we take care of. The wants, if we get, great. If we don't get to it, we don't get to it. And as that's some of the things that I have 3 young head coaches right now. I said, you need something, come see me. I'll find a way to get it for you, to get you what you need. If it's a want, don't come here. Don't come here. But if you learn how to do things right, you'll be fine.
Um, I know. I'm gonna only ask you a couple more questions. So, I mean, you've been coaching for 20 some years, 31 years. What's the most significant change you've seen in football? Like, what have you seen that's different from 2026 until the 90s when you were coaching? 90s from on.
Uh, as far as the overall coaching, it's more open now. If you're asking for football,
Yeah.
it's more of a athletic kid now. The only change to that is that you have to work more on toughness. The kid doesn't come with that anymore. Some do, but you have to work it more than we used to. A lot of these kids in the old days, they play football out in the street all the time. Some of them don't. Oh, they'll tell you about games and all of this and that. But if you build it into your program, you can still get it out of it. They want to get coached. They want to be held responsible, but they don't come with it. Now, your your athletes, they come with it because that's what they do.
Yeah.
But you never have to worry about those kids. You worry about the rest of them. And in general, every year seems like you get more and more kids that are not used to the physical or the toughness, the mental toughness of it. And sometimes, you put a kid in a situation where, they're probably calling you all kinds of names because you put them in a spot where they're And I'm always a person that I might get after you pretty hard, but before the day is over, I'm gonna pat you in the back and say, "Look, this is what I want." When I get after, it's not because I don't like you, it's not because I'm trying to get you to be tough. The real world is not nice.
Yeah,
The
very
real
true.
world is gonna be tough, and if you don't build a tough skin, you know, you're gonna have a hard time. Uh, some of the kids that go in the military that I coach, they'll come back and say, "Boot camp was easy because we already had drill sergeant for 4 years." And to me, it's okay, good. I don't think if we can help a kid have a better chance in life, in the regular life, because football and sports in general for kids down here is going to end up sooner than later.
Yeah,
We don't have the kid that's going to go to the pros. You got the Springer kid that's going to be coaching.
yeah,
How many of those do you get? Not many,
not
not down
many.
here. So it's always good to praise those kids and show your kids. You always want to leave that door open. It's possible. Don't another kid that all stated that his name is Eric Escamilla, one of the best players I ever coached. Not size wise or anything, just very knowledgeable, everything. He always wanted to go to UT. And one thing I'm never, I don't sugarcoat things when I talk to kids. They say, "You want to hear the truth?" "Yes, coach. That's all I know that you do." "Okay. You're 5'8". You're on a 4'7", maybe 40. You know, you know how many kids UT can go find that are better than you right now just in San Antonio? No, probably about 2,000. And for 4 or 5 spots they have. So what are your chances? But, and I tell her, but don't let me discourage you from going. You gotta go. And that I got from what I did. I went to see if I could make it.
Yeah.
And if I don't, there's no, I could have, should have. No. You went and saw it. You went and said it. So he ends up going to some school in Kansas, but he still had the itch. So he came down to UTSA when it was opening.
Oh yes.
And he says, "Coach, they're real good." "Yes, I told you." But you had to go try. And I think that's something that I tell all the kids. And again, I don't sugarcoat. Some people call me some other words, but it's okay. Words have never bothered me.
Right with that, when you talked about the Super Bowl, who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl this
I
weekend?
think the Seahawks will win.
Really? Okay, that's good. That's
Just
good.
because they can run the ball and their defense is playing pretty good.
Defense. Um, on the last thing I want to say is this: if you did not become a coach, what would you have done for a career?
I wanted to be an engineer, but something I like working with my hands. So I think I would have been either a mechanic or something like that. I like working with wood. I do furniture just
You do furniture.
that's just for as a stress reliever, just to get my mind off of things.
Dave Evans. I just talked. Dave Evans had some furniture as well. He makes some furniture as well.
Yeah.
Um, is there anything I know? Is there anything you would like to share with the viewers before we wrap it up?
No, I guess I guess people that see this, here's a kid that came from a little place in Matamoros that might not mean much, but my parents demanded quite a bit of us. I was very fortunate, like I tell you, to be coached from great coaches, to work with some great coaches, uh, that they all had some form part of me that made me who I am now. And I hope that whoever sees this, if you're in a position that you can instill this kind of things in young kids or anybody, that you're able to pass it on, so they can understand they can do whatever they want. Uh, Remember, I told my dad didn't like me to play sports. Uh, Passed away almost 2 years ago. maybe about 5 years ago. I was sitting out with him, and he says, "You know, sports have been good to me, and you didn't want me to play." And my dad would never say, "Well, I was wrong" or this. He says, "You know what? I would have made a big mistake. It would have kept you from it, you know." And we used to work out in the fields, you know. So I went to school because I didn't want to work in the fields.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in the sun. And I told him, and look where I ended up. I said, "Coach, I'm in the sun." And laughing, kind of like you do, he kind of laughed, which very seldomly he chuckled and said, "Yeah, but you wouldn't be making the money you're making if you work in those fields in that sun. You work in a different kind of sun." And I said, "You know what? You're right." You know, so that's one thing that I mean. My dad was tough and everything, but you learn how to work with him, and then it got reinforced by the coaches that I worked for. So,
Well, thank you very much, Coach Pardo. Thank you for sharing your journey. Thank you for coming out today, and thank you very much.
oh, thank you for the invite.
All
And
right.
a little, maybe some things that people didn't know about me because I'm telling you, I don't. I don't like to be member and be on the board of this. I like to go to work, do my job, go home, relax. That's it. I try to keep private as much as I can.
I'm back for season 2 of the One Time Out Left podcast. We're diving back into the world of high school athletics to bring you the raw, behind the scenes journeys of the athletic directors and coaches. It's been a privilege sharing our passion for sports with all of you on the One Time Out Left. We're incredibly grateful for every listener who tunes in. If you enjoyed our discussions, you can catch us on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. For even more content and to stay connected, be sure to follow on One Time Out Left on Instagram and TikTok and X. Thanks for being a part of the One Time Out Left community.